What's up, everybody? It's Reggie Williams, founder and CEO of Ambrosia for Heads. And with me, I have Jake Payne, our editor in chief. And together, this is our What's the Headline podcast. And today, we got a super special guest, an MC who drops classic albums. He's had life-changing features, verses heard around the world, and he's recently released part 2 of a classic. If you don't know who I'm talking about right now, I'm talking about AZ. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Peace. Thanks for having me, man. What's going on with y'all?
Man, we're good. Thank you for blessing us, man. We were just chopping it up a few minutes ago, and I was saying this is 3 years in the making, and so to be able to sit down with you now is a real pleasure, a privilege.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you for making the time for us, AZ, man.
True indeed.
We've been looking forward to this one.
Yes, man. And I owe it to the peoples, man. I fuck with y'all.
Oh man, we appreciate that. That. So, man, I've been listening to you obviously since day one, and one thing I've seen that's been consistent in your music is that it's soulful. Like you gravitate to those soulful beats. So, I wanted to know, what are some of your biggest soul influences?
I guess I'm from that. Of course, we all was attracted to hip hop when it first touched down with the Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight. And then one of them came, Did They Want To, which I appreciated. But around the time Rakim came to check out my melody, and it was so melodic. And then Big Daddy Kane, half stepping. That pocket kind of what raised me. So I love that melodic zone, because I think you can get your thoughts across better. And it leaves the beat open, and it's at a tempo where a listener can digest your thoughts. So that's just my zone. Like, and then even from the old school music, the soulful, classics with Marvin and so many, the Shy Lights and everything. That tone is just it touched something in the chakra, and it allows the brain to open up and absorb. So that always been my pocket for me. And then my voice as well is light. So I kind of, lyrically I could bounce around everywhere, but in that pocket, it kind of my vocals and my tonality fits in like another instrument, and it kind of just sways. So that melodic zone, I love that zone.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, and your flow is one of the best in hip hop, just period. Like your cadence is one with the track. So what's the secret to that? Because whenever you rap, it's just like so, like you said, in the pocket. So what's your secret for that?
I think it was developed through time and trial and error. When you idolize certain artists, you're more or less padding your style in the beginning like them. And I'm a lover of words, so I think I pattern my style with those that I idolize, and then I kind of develop my own style. And to me, I guess it's like carrying on tradition. In my mind, it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a page out their book, but I'm gonna add my scriptures to it, and I'm gonna pick up the torch, keep it going. That'd be my mindset.
Yeah, so I've noticed that every great MC starts out kind of sounding like their favorite MCs. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Who was that for you?
It was several, but those that probably influenced me the most, when my brain started, absorbing real information. Because young, you get more caught into the beats and King Tim the Third and Run was like, wow. I'm young though at that time. I'm like, wow. But I guess when the Rakim and then you hear the Kane, the G Raps, the KRS, I gotta say all their names because each one of them played a part. Slick Rick and Chuck D. These are like, these 7 is like, my world revolved around them. You know what I mean? So when you think about content, you think about fluidity and flow and word structure, and just it turns all into one thing. So that was just my life at one time. The whole like 86 to the time I got on was my life, right? Listening to these people and seeing the content they was putting out and just wanting to just be a part of the greats was my thing.
So the OG Doe Or Die released in 95. And, here we are 25 years later. That was the era Giuliani and Pataki. You know, for you in AZ's New York, what's the same and what's different about those worlds?
The same was different, meaning from then to now.
Yeah.
Then, you know, I mean, of course, it's the age difference, it's a mentality difference. You know, then I didn't have no kids, and I was just a reckless, wild child, going crazy, and you know, the world was kind of different then. You know what I mean? These Campbells wasn't in existence. The iPhones and things wasn't in existence, and just the mindset was different on the streets. It was. I would say it had a code, but I think around that time that I was in the Giuliani era, the codes was really broken, and it was just like the Wild Wild West. You know, they called it a baby Guantanamo Bay, where we from. You know, it was just off the hook. So, but as time goes on, you know, you see how life did these ghettos and communities. Like, it was really a trap in my mind. So, you know, they kind of flushed it. You know, those that was extra hypertension and just whatever, you know, they did what they did. They got locked up. A lot of brothers and people was killed. And you know, as time was going on, just the mindsets and the music changed, and the music kind of dictates the community, right? Because hip hop is big nowadays. Well, it grew to a monster, and it just went through every neighborhood, and just it deals with the mind. So then it was just reckless. Now times are different, and you know, I'm older, I got kids now, and I just see things different. I just more or less still have the same mentality, but I could structure it better now. Before I was trying to fit in. Now I'm trying to dictate and direct. You know, that's how I see in my poetry. Like, if you listen to it, I still had the same jewels because that's how I was raised. But you know, now I kind of more or less mix it in with you know, you put the vegetables in the pie. So I try to still deliver it like, all right, I know y'all want to eat sweets, but not knowing I'm putting some vegetables in it, so eat that. You know what I mean? So that's all. That's the difference, you know? And it's a night and day difference. Things are just totally different now.
For sure. It's interesting that you talk about, you know, being older, and also you use that analogy of vegetables. You know, on one of the songs of the album, on Just For You, you say you either you eat good or you lack nutrition.
Right.
AZ, you're somebody who does not seem to age. And you talk about that in a few places on the album.
Right.
You know, just as three guys talking, what's the secret? Is it is it fitness? Is it diet? Is it all of the above?
Yo, but you know, it was one time, it's crazy, right? Because in hindsight, everything looks like, you know, people could make it somewhere in life and be like, yo, man, listen, all you need to do. But when you're going through it, it's just weird, right? You don't see it. But I did change my diet. You know, I don't eat red meat. And, you know, I try to stay away from stressful things, right? Because we think it's normal, right? To be around the stress a lot. And when I say stress, there's so many topics, you know what I mean? It's the people we have around us, it's the way we look at things. And, you know, when you eat different and you know, you just moving different, and you develop a certain type of glow. You know, when you see people with a certain glow, you're like, oh, you figure it's just money, but the money is less stress. That's what money, less. So with less stress, you move different, eat different, you sleep different. And I think that's my key. You know, I try to sleep right. I don't, you know, used to smoke a mile a minute. I used to smoke weed from 12 in the afternoon till 1 or 2 in the morning every day consistently. Had to cut it in half. Drinking, cut it in half, you know, and I guess it adds years in your life. And so.
You said you're doing a show, you know, tomorrow at Sony Hall. Did those changes, you know, with the smoking or the drinking, did it make your live show, you know, did it make you a better performer at this juncture in your career?
Nah, I didn't actually. Like, for some people, I think it would, but nah, with me, I think I always kind of did a great show. I used to always thought I did. In the beginning, I thought I gave a great show until I did a show with KRS, and he showed me that. Better step your fucking game up. You're coming around the big boy. So, yeah, you know, you learn to just add more and just be paused with the crowd and shit. So I think that helps out. Experience helps out with shows, not smoking and drinking. That shit just, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned Kane and KRS a couple times. I gotta ask you. I'm assuming you watched the Verzuz last night.
Facts.
Do you got a winner, or if not, just give me your breakdown?
Oh man, that shit is hard because I love both of them. And that matchup was different. Like I could have saw Kane and LL get busy, right? Just
Oh,
because
yeah.
KRS is so much of an aggressor, and then you got the smooth operator, right? It's night
Yeah.
and day, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, but it was cool to hear the classics and see how they both really just destroyed the stage in their own way, you know what I mean? So they both winners to me.
Yeah, we talked about
Honestly.
it. We talked about it. I was saying it was like Mayweather versus Tyson, right? Like you got Kane is like the technician and like dancing, you know, and
Right.
then KRS is that brute, you know, knocking out people.
Facts.
One
That's
punch
facts. You
stuff.
hit it right on the head, God.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
facts.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, Do or Die 2 is 25 years in the making. People have been waiting for this for a decade plus. But the first voice that opens up the album is not yours. It's Idris Elba. So how did that come
Right.
about?
You know, when I finished the album, that was like the last thing to get done. When I finished the album, I'm like, you know, sitting with the crew, they're like, wow, this is a movie. We need somebody to set this off right. I'm like, who could really dictate, narrate, and want that the listeners appreciate? And then we was wanting to do names. His name came up, and I was on tour with Nas with Rock the Bells, and I think he was at one of the shows. And he was like, "Yo, man, I like your music, man. Word up." So I knew that he gravitated towards, you know, my poetry. So I just reached out. You know, what I mean, at first he was more or less like, "I don't do intros. I get a lot of intros," but he's like, "You know what? Let me hear your music." So I sent him some snippets. He's like, "Yo, let's go, man." So I appreciate that. That was real right there.
You know, so he ends it with "Finish Your Food." You know, what do you think you have left to finish in your career?
Man, I got so much, man. I'm like the orphan of this hip hop game, and I say that to say, you know, I had a great start. It was beautiful being with EMI and coming out the gate with a you know, a gold album, but then EMI dissolved through financial issues, and then I went from that to Virgin Records because that was the parent company. Then from that, I got off that because it's a whole story. But then I went to nobody knew I was on Yab Yum for a minute, and then from Yab Yum I went to Motown, and from Motown, so it's like an orphan going from home to home, and never really having a foundation and that family love. You know what I mean? So I got so much to accomplish because I just feel like, you know, my peers, they did what they had to do, and I was in the making as well. But it's, you know, my mindset is it's never over. Like I got that Brooklyn mentality, like it's not over till I'm off the planet. So I just got so much to do because we got to immortalize ourselves while we're here, right? That's the purpose, right? When you find your purpose and you live in life, you know, a lot of people never get to find their purpose, but I know like I can't do nothing after this right here. So now I got to go all in. I've always been in, but I made it kind of more or less look easy to, for one, it's still an accomplishment to me to go from label to label. So a lot of people can't do that because you just be signed to a label and they'll never let you go. I never was dropped from a label, which is one, and I was always able, that them labels I was with, they more or less seem like it's really not a problem, but it's a problem, but we see the potential, you can go. So it was a beautiful thing. That's a blessing for one. So I never been held back, and that's a blessing. But I also know that, you know, now that I found my lane, because it's crazy, because not too many artists could do it in the 25th hour like I'm doing it, to find a lane and be like, all right, I'm independent. I still got what it takes, and I'm still getting the love. I'm gonna keep going. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, I still can cover a lot of grounds because my peers kicked down a lot of doors already. So I could just really just one behind them. You know how the ambulance be moving through the highway and they making a hole, you following behind them. So that's how I feel. So I got a lot to do. I got movies to do. I got so much things to do. I got a lot of things to do for the community and everything.
That's dope. So Quiet Music is your label, right?
Quiet Money, yes, sir.
Quiet Money. So how does it feel to control your own destiny?
Man, it's just a job. It's hard. The hardest shit ever, but it's cool because, you know, just it builds tenacity, man. It builds, you know, everybody screaming, yo, boss this and boss that. Right? It's cool as an expression, but that shit holds a lot of weight, you know, to really you know, dictate policy and stay on top of things and really execute and getting it done, giving your own self, you know, deadlines and really being a financial support of everything you're doing. So It's easier said than done, but it's cool. I appreciate it because you reap all the benefits and it's lessons learned and it's things you learn that you can always pass on, you know?
Is it just you or you sign another artist too?
I'm gonna sign a few artists, but right now it's just me. But I got a few artists in mind that I want to deal with. But I really gotta get things, you know, fully off the ground. Cause you know, it's like an airplane is going up. A lot of people want to jump on. You're like, wait, let me get airborne first. Just give me a minute. I got it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it.
What do you look for in an artist?
Oh man, character, dedication, talent always. But with talent, you know, that's the basis. But you need, you know, just, you know, I always used to tell artists, like, what's your audience? Because that's really how you got to build, you know, your catalog around, like, what audience? You going for the women, you're going for the have-nots, you're going for the educators, like, you know, build your catalog towards that. So I just look for those that's dedicated or already halfway there and know what they want and kind of just need to be polished.
So, you know, one of my favorite songs on the album is Ritual, you know, and when you look at 2021 of amazing collaborations, you, right, Conway and Wayne on an Alchemist beat is insane. I got to know, like, was that something where you heard the beat and then thought of the artist? Did Al have a hand in that? Talk to me about how you assembled that lineup, especially including the producer.
Well, that was one of the last records before the Idris for the intro, and I know the album is really melodic and smooth, and I'm like, yo, I need something hard. You know, I'm really not the hard lyricist, even though I go in that. I feel like I could go in any lane, but I just wanted something that really balanced the album out because I had a few. I had like two. I had found my niche, and the rap, the real. I had that. I just wanted one more to kind of balance the album out. And I asked Alchemist, you know, I wanted him on the album. He sent some tracks. That was the first track. I was like, oh, that's it. I don't want to hear no more. Fuck it. I don't want to hear no more. So, you know, me and Conway earlier, we met at the Nets game. We was up in them sky boxes and I was in one, he was in the other one. I'm like, oh shit, what up? And he's like, yo, we got to do something. And so when I got the beat, I thought of him because I had a couple of features already. So I thought of him. He hopped right on it, bomb. So the album is done, mind you. So I'm like, damn, I think I got everything. I need one more. I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to Wayne. And I reached out to him and I was going to do a total different record with him. And so I was just telling him about the album. And I told him, I got a joint with Alchemist. And you know what? Forget it. But he said, nah, I want that. That's the one I want. I'm like, I was like, you want that one? He's like, yeah, yo, that's the one I want. And I sent it to him. And man, he different. He different. That's all. He's just different.
I love that his verse, you know, acknowledges. I think it ends with, "I've been a fan of the firm, you know, since you was a worm." Like, I love the fact that he uses his verse, and it's crazy too to think about because you guys are peers. I mean, you know, he was doing the Hot Boys thing, but like in the mid '90s, you're both making your rounds, and it was really cool to see him salute you in that way. And again, I mean, that collaboration just measures up.
That's me, right? That was a main joint. That's one of my favorites off the album. That's one of them. Yes.
Yeah, you know, you talk about the dudes who influenced you, but I hear a lot of you and the Griselda guys. So did you and Conway build on that? They taught you about like the impact you had on them?
Well, yeah, I mean, to an extent, you know, they're gonna salute. And like he said, this was on his bucket list, you know, to do that, you know, and everybody got their favorites. Not sure if I'm one of them, but I mean, without patting myself on the back, I probably am, right? And like he said, it was on his bucket list, so we got it done.
Yeah. So we talked about your cadence. Another MC who I think has got just an impeccable flow is Rick Ross. So, you know, can you talk about you two working together?
Yeah. You know, through the years, I ran the Rick. He definitely one that carries the torch of how we represent. I just knew he was one of the cats that I wanted on the album from since I started the album, you know, because it's just the similarities are so real, you know. So reaching out to him, he was like, everybody showed that love, which was cool, you know. I appreciated that. But that's one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
I say that about all the fucking songs, right? Yeah. That's my favorite. That one, but nah, that one definitely AZ special. You know what I mean? Like the ritual was different because I stepped out of my element, and showed that I could show and prove. You know what I mean? So, but that particular record that's my zone.
Yeah, Ross loves those soulful beats too. We got a bunch of your songs on heavy rotation on our playlist. We got a pretty
That's
big following, and incredible. So from Wayne to Ross to Conway to Dave East, you got nothing but killers on the album.
Yeah.
So how important was it for you to only feature lyrical MCs on this project?
That really wasn't the goal. It was just basically what complemented what I was trying to do, and kind of put together a whole 360. So, like I said, in hindsight, you see all that. Me moving, I was just thinking, oh, he definitely sound good on this. Oh yeah, he the one for this. You know what I mean? So it wasn't by design. So, but when it falls into place, it's a masterpiece, right? Like you're like, oh shit, like, damn, that's it. We did it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Thinking of features, I will always associate you with that because, there's two MCs that come to my mind with taking the guest verse and literally shaping history. I think Nas did it at, Live at the Barbecue with Main
Facts.
Source. And then 3 years later, boom, AZ the Visualiza does it on Life's a Bitch. And,
that's facts.
One of the greatest verses of all time from you. I have to ask you, as such a student of hip hop, have you seen another MC, that's taken a debut or an early in their career verse and had that kind of impact with it, that comes to your mind?
Did Mace do that? Mace was on a guest feature. It was a couple of cats that did that. Let me think for a minute. There was a couple of cats that had guest features and went crazy. I remember Kane we was bringing his name up. He was on the Bismarck feat. That when he first came out, that was crazy. You see, I'm a historian. I'm going backwards instead of forwards. But going forward, who else? That supposed to be on the tip of my tongue. But I know it was a few. It was definitely a few that came out and made the same ripple effects. I'm gonna get back at you with that, but I definitely.
Yeah, it's all good. And I mean, I wish that MCs treated those opportunities with the kind of intensity that you did. Was there anything, I mean, obviously you couldn't have known that you were on a 5 mic.
That's what I was going to say. Point. We didn't know that. Yeah. Like, it's like the stars got lined up for that, right? Because I would have never known that. And I'm sure, me knowing Nas at that time, as far as he didn't even know his album was going to be what it was. So I guess an artist could never think like that. It's just a matter of putting your best foot forward and hoping that, the people's gravitate towards it.
A lot of people talk about your and Nas's chemistry, which is obvious and well documented, but people forget that Pete Rock produced that track for you guys. And then, Rather Unique is, another one of your classics. And you got another Pete Rock joint on this. So can you talk about the chemistry you got with Pete?
Oh, man, that's family. Pete, I kind of knew prior to even getting Rather Unique before Nas even met him. Just being in his basement and not his cousin, but I guess it was Dio, which was my manager, was Hev partner. It was a long story, but they heard me and they was like, yo, we know somebody gives music. So I met Pete prior. So Pete, I knew him before his album first dropped too. So he like family.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you talk about that era, one thing I've always wanted to ask you, and I know it didn't stick, but it was AZ the Visualiza. And I think that was such a dope name. And, we know the AZ part, but for you, where was there an origin story of that second half of being the Visualizer? Because I think it certainly measures up in the imagery in your bars.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess they came up with that when visualizing the realism of life. It just stuck with me. But it's crazy because that is something that can stick with me because I do see things for what they are and not what they present themselves to be. Right? That's just me. And I kind of, it kind of like prophesized it, right? I should have kept it.
So Full Circle last year on King's Disease is one of my favorite tracks. I just banged that crazy. So how did it feel for you to be back at full strength with the firm?
No, it was cool, man. I mean, any family reunion is great, right? Like, it just was cool. For Nas to even reach out, for him to even drop that album, that came out the blue. and putting it together. And, to put us on the album was good. To hear everybody back in cahoots, it was a good look. And we went left off topic. We wasn't doing the mafioso thing. We just manned up and got us some grown man shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talked about relationships and that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's a great record for legacy too, because over the years that I've spoken to you, over the years I've talked to Cormega and Nas, like I know that people always wanted that, and it has to feel good to answer that question with music.
Yeah, there we go. Answer with music, and I would love to hear. It's not 25 years yet. I think next year probably be 25. It'll be great to hear a whole body of work again from the members.
I like that idea too. One thing I want to ask you of that time in your life is, there's some great photos out there from The Source and other people of you and Dre at that time.
Right.
It wasn't long after those sessions that he started working with M. And for Eminem fans, and Eminem, I think has said this at different places, you were a primary influence of him on his Infinite album, which he made before Dre. In that aftermath era, did you and M ever run in the same circles?
Nah, not at all. I met him one time though, probably in the process of that. I met him. He had something out, I think, at the time. I met him one time. But that's crazy though, right? Right? For me to carry on the torch. And I mean, that's usually how it goes. And someone else picks it up and take it a little further. So that was cool.
So one of the things that surprised me about Full Circle was that y'all actually got some bars. I think it was only like 4 from The Good Doctor. So how did that happen?
That was great, man. I mean, like I said, to always hear everybody together.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's timeless now. It's legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you saw the Super Bowl announcement, we did a whole deep dive on it. You got Dre, you got M, Kendrick, Mary J. Blige, Snoop,
that's crazy.
Queen Latifah was the first one. Did you know that Queen Latifah was the first rap artist to ever hit the Super Bowl stage?
Oh, word? That's crazy.
It was through the Motown showcase, Boyz II Men and a bunch of other people, but her being on it. So, what does it say to you about hip hop to now be on such a big stage and be dominating it?
Man, you know what it is. We here now. I mean, we've been there, but it's dominating the world. It's never going nowhere.
Yeah.
So, on the album, you start Time to Answer with some strong words about people that had been questioning you about this album. And AZ, I was probably one of them over the last decade, like, when are we getting it? When are we getting it?
Right.
Can you speak about the grind that it took for you to get this album to where you were satisfied with it? Because I know it's been a labor of love for you.
It has been, but it's also, right, it's called the music business, and people fail to realize that. Like I probably got more songs. I could put 2 albums out right now, but if you throw it in the air and it come back, hit the floor, nobody know it was out, right? So it's the business aspect that everybody look over, and it's about timing a little bit, because the sonics change so much, and you can't just jump out the window right there. So it was really like a waiting game for me, because I think I wanted to put the album out from 2013. I wanted to put it together. And when you're doing records and they don't got that cohesiveness, and it's not really like, you feel it, but you don't, it's like cooking. It ain't ready to take out the oven. It wasn't ready. And at the same time, you trying to connect the business model with it. And the two not connecting, you really just be doing it just to do it. And that never really was me. And I know, time is infinite, right? We got time. I thought we say that, but we do got time. So I figure if it's not going to be done right, I'm not going to do it at all. And if everything don't line up, then, so I guess, with the COVID and all that taking place, it resetted everything, and it was like, okay, it reset everybody, set everybody back. It gave me time to do the album. And then it's like a fresh start was going on. It's like, all right, let me hit the gate, run it. You know what I'm saying?
So was it clean slate for you, or there were certain records that you knew no matter what that you carried with you on this album, or Verzuz even? Maybe they weren't finished records. Or were there parts of it that have made this journey with you over the last 8 or 9 years?
It was 1 or 2 records, but that was it, because a lot of records I constantly was putting out through the years. So I'm like, okay, I got to feed the fans something, like, or I really just fade the fuck out, right? So I was putting 1 or 2 singles out every year. If you go back, you'll hear it, like, IXL, Red Magic, We Moving, Back to Myself, Feel My Pain. I was constantly putting music out. So it kind of kept me even keel. It wasn't doing much damage, but it kept the sounds out there. And then like I said, when everything had to reset, just jump back and hit the gate. I mean, but it's still so much more because I think I gotta really double up. I gotta put another album out like top of the year or something. I gotta double up. I gotta play now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's great to hear, man. And I disagree with you. I think those Lucy's did a lot of damage. They certainly did on Ambrosia for Heads, man.
Oh yeah.
That's real. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So, it's 2021. What would you tell AZ from 1996?
And keep doing you no matter whom or what. I was telling the AZ from 86 to 96 to 2006, keep doing you and never stop. And that's what constantly play in my brain, never stop. And as you be in the game long enough, you're like, wow, you start realizing, you gotta, this is legacy time. You gotta immortalize yourself. You gotta leave so much behind because look how the world is, evolving. Like so many things is going on. It's like, get it out. Don't hold it in. So never stop. Telling myself that now. You can ask me 10 years from now, I'm never gonna stop.
That's dope. So a lot of artists, once they put their album out, they kind of check out and don't like check for the music scene. Others are more plugged in. Which one are you?
I'm just doing my own thing. I would never check out, but I understand it, right? Because you get, if you don't have that mindset, you get so frustrated with the sucker shit that go on. It's just so much. It's worse in the streets. It's a lot of lies, a lot of backdoor shit. There's just so much corny shit that go on. You're like, God damn! Like I thought I was back in the streets, but it's really worse. And a lot of people don't have it to really deal with that, right? Because you're like, you're not worried about the people. You worried about yourself and what you'll do, and really put yourself more in harm's way. It's like making a bad situation worse. And my mind been there a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand the frustration, but the artists that stayed around, I guess they just maneuvered a certain way, and doors open up. So I feel like I'm never checking out. So I'm past that. Not that I really was never going to check out, but I was like, you know what? I still got to hit my target. That was my mindset. Like I got to hit my target before I go. If I do stop fucking with it, the game itself, I got to hit my last target. So I hit my target, right? But at the same time, right now, I feel like I'm gonna keep moving. Because I'm like a one-man army. Like it get a little frustrating when you're dealing with them corporate monsters, them giants. They'll squash you like an ant. Yep. They'll get you out the way when you jeopardizing their vision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I gotta walk light, I gotta hit hard, and we see what's to come, man. That's what's gonna happen.
You got more power than ever now, man. You drop it, and your fans can get you directly. You can talk to them directly.
Right.
You always got people like us to support. So yeah,
right. Facts. That's real, man. I appreciate that.
Of course. So Doe or Die carries a lot of weight. Was it extra pressure for you to be doing like part two? Like, did it feel like more pressure than a second album, than another album?
Nah, the original was the first one was more pressure because I really didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Honestly, I was just more or less like, I had a couple of verses and I really was understanding the structures of making songs. So it really was like a lot of them songs is off the whim. Now I'm more seasoned, so now it's really like a walk in the park to me. Yeah. Really, Yeah. The part is easier rather.
So not to put you on the hook, but you said you got more music. You really think you're gonna come with some new stuff next year?
Oh, facts.
Okay.
I'm never stopping. I'm trying to put out movies and I'm gonna put my own soundtrack to it. I got ideas, so I'm never stopping.
Well, you did books, and that's what I was gonna ask you too. I mean, even at a time when you were just giving us Lucy's, you went and wrote a book, AZ, and you sold it and distributed it yourself, which
facts.
I think is so dope and speaks to the quiet money, mantra and philosophy. You've been an author with the 16s. Was there anything in writing a book that you discovered about yourself or about your ability and skill that you didn't know you had as an MC?
Yeah, I discovered why do people make excuses? Because people like, it takes 5 years to write a book. It takes a lifetime. I sat down every night in my iPhone on a notepad, just wrote till I was tired and went to sleep for like 4 months. And then I was like, you know what? Let me get this spell checked and see, get somebody to look over it, make sure everything's right, and put it out. And it's doing great. I'm still independent with it. The book is still for sale. Go to Quiet Money Direct, and you get the book and so many other things. You know what I mean? But it's only hard when you make it hard. Anything, I think.
Yeah.
I did it. Or maybe that's the concept they want to feed to the mind. So we be like, man, that's too tedious. I can't do that shit. It's really not.
Just got to visualize it.
Just visualize it and push through it.
Yeah.
With no expectations. You can't have no expectations, because that's probably the part of it. People having so much high expectations, and then it fuck you up at the end of the day. So, I have no expectations with nothing that I go into. Just the accomplishment is the greatest accomplishment for me. Just getting it done and like, all right, cool, it's done. Like, it may not, it's like art, right? Right now, it's like, all right, it's cool. Well, hey, you ain't triple platinum. You ain't. I'm like, all right, cool. So 10, 15 years from now, we don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
It could anything can happen.
I am just so happy to hear that this was an affirmation. This album, Doe or Die 2, was an affirmation for you to put out more, because I think the very first episode that Reggie and I did of this podcast, we talked about the most consistent MCs and MCs that are probably better today than they were at the beginning of their career. And we came up with, I think, 3, Reggie, right?
Yeah.
AZ, Master Ace, and I think the other was Royce the 5'9".
Hey, you
just keep
Black
getting
Thought
better.
in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, Black Thought.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tariq.
Good. Oh, y'all on it. That shit is great. That's
Man.
Yeah, great. That's greats right there.
So you're in fighting form, man. We're glad to hear that, there's more on the way.
Oh, yeah, facts. Thank you, man.
So you got the show in New York. Is this
Right.
gonna be the start? You gonna take this album on the road?
Or I want to do that. So I'm trying to set that up now.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yo, the album is great. Everybody who has not checked it out, please go get Doe or Die 2.
Yeah.
You got vinyls. You got vinyls for sale too, or
It's coming. I got the
Okay.
CDs for sale for now.
CDs,
The
okay.
vinyls is coming soon, and yeah, we good now.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
an album worthy of physical product, man. So I'm glad to hear
Yes,
that.
sir. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for
Salute,
making the
Kings.
time.
All right.
Peace.
Yes, sir.